They don't just manipulate the weak. They choose them, carefully, strategically, and without remorse. Because weakness gives off a scent. It bleeds through your tone when you apologize too much. It leaks from your eyes when you seek validation, and it screams from your silence when you refuse to draw a line. Manipulators, deceivers, toxic people, they all hunt for the same signal: compliance. If you're too nice to say no, too emotional to stay composed, too open to protect your boundaries, they already see you as prey. You think you're being kind, but in their world, you're just easy to use. Niccolò Machiavelli didn't write about being good. He wrote about being feared. Because in a world full of wolves, the man who hides behind morality will be the first to bleed. No one is coming to protect you. The only way to survive and dominate is to become unreadable, unpredictable, untouchable. This series isn't for the soft-hearted. It's for the one who's had enough. The one ready to replace guilt with strategy. The one done explaining, done begging, done losing. Comment below. They'll regret choosing me. Say it like a warning, not a wish. Now let's get into the rules. Rule number 1, stop explaining yourself. Weak men explain, powerful men observe. And when you constantly explain yourself, you're not defending truth, you're handing over control. Every explanation is a signal. It tells the manipulator where your guilt lives, where your fear hides, where your mind breaks under pressure. They listen closely, not to understand, but to dissect. And the more you speak, the more you reveal why you did it, why you said it, why you feel bad. It's a trap, and you walked into it. You want to be respected, then let silence speak for you. Let your decisions be final. Let your no be a wall, not an invitation. Because explaining yourself is rooted in a need for permission, and power never asks for permission. Understand this: the people who demand explanations from you aren't seeking truth. They're seeking leverage. And if they can make you talk, they can make you submit. Niccolò Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." And those who fear you won't question your decisions. They'll adjust to your standards. So, shut the door on over-explaining. Replace words with presence. And don't ever justify power. Power just is. Comment below. I owe no one an explanation. Let them wonder while you move. Rule number 2, don't react. Calculate. The moment you react, you've lost. Emotional reactions are currency for manipulators, and once you pay them, you're owned. They provoke to read you, they poke to measure your tolerance, they insult to locate your breaking point. Every reaction you give is a leak in your armor. Anger? Now they know what buttons to push. Defensiveness? Now they know where the wound is. Silence isn't weakness, it's war. Cold men don't react. They calculate. They take the insult, absorb the attack, and ask one question: what does this reveal? Because every outburst you avoid gives you leverage, every delay in response gives you clarity. And clarity is power. You think silence is passive? Then you've never seen it weaponized. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "A wise man does at once what a fool does at last. The fool reacts. The wise man waits, then strikes when it matters most. If they expect rage, give them indifference. If they want a scene, give them stillness. It confuses, it destabilizes. And in that moment, you win." Comment below. I respond with silence, not emotion. Say it, own it, then live it. Rule number 3, make yourself hard to access. The most dangerous mistake you can make in this world is being too available. When people can reach you anytime, anywhere, for anything, they stop respecting you. They grow entitled to your time. And once someone feels entitled to you, they begin to use you. That's how manipulators survive. They feed off what's close, what's predictable, what's exposed. And if you're always answering, always showing up, always saying yes, you're not being kind, you're being studied. You're giving them a map to your energy. Weak men are accessible. Strong men are scarce. Power doesn't knock on your door. It makes people earn the right to see it. When you're too easy to reach, you're easy to use. That's not generosity, that's self-destruction. You become a tool in someone else's hand. But when you're hard to access, something shifts. People start to value what they can't control. They become cautious with their words. They hesitate before wasting your time. That hesitation? That's power. You didn't ask for it. You created it by withdrawing. Niccolò Machiavelli once wrote, "Men should be either treated generously or destroyed. But the truth is, if you don't protect yourself, the world will choose the second option. So you must vanish. Not with bitterness, not with loud exits, but with cold indifference. You stop showing up, you stop explaining, you create space. And in that space, they either rise to your level or fade into the background. Don't be the man who's always available. Be the man they never see coming. You are not a vending machine for attention. You are a locked door with a code they'll never guess. Comment below, "My time is earned, not given." Let them feel your absence like a storm that never leaves a warning. Rule number 4, reward distance, not closeness. Most people are trained to reward proximity. The ones who text you constantly, the ones who call daily, the ones who flatter you, follow you, chase you. You think they care, but many of them are just addicted to access. They don't value you. They value control over you, and you fuel it every time you respond. Every time you reward closeness with more of yourself. That's not connection, that's a slow surrender. If you want power, you have to flip the formula. Reward distance. Respect those who give you space. The ones who don't beg for your time but honor it. The ones who don't need constant access because they have self-control. Those are the ones who aren't trying to feed off you. They're trying to grow beside you. Everyone else, they're testing your boundaries. And if you don't enforce them, you teach them you have none. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He didn't surround himself with people who needed him. He surrounded himself with people who respected him from afar. Because real power doesn't cling. It doesn't crowd. It commands space without force. And the moment you start rewarding those who respect your distance and distancing yourself from those who demand closeness, your life becomes clear, quiet, and controlled. Don't confuse attention with loyalty. Don't confuse noise with depth. If they truly respect you, they'll never beg for your presence. They'll earn it. Comment below, "I reward distance, not desperation." Make it your filter, and let silence remove the rest. Rule number 5, confuse them with consistency. In a world full of unstable people, emotional outbursts and reactive behavior, nothing is more terrifying than a man who is consistent. The manipulator thrives on volatility. They bait, provoke, test, and pressure you until you shift, until your mood breaks, until your energy cracks. That's where they strike. That's how they win. But when you are emotionally unshakable, strategically calm, and psychologically fixed on your path, they can't find a single opening. You become unreadable, unpredictable, and worst of all for them, uncontrollable. The average man responds emotionally to chaos. One day he's calm, the next defensive. One moment he's silent, then suddenly explosive. That makes him easy to study, easy to trigger, easy to own. But when you respond to life and people with the same measured calm, the same unshaken gaze, the same cold logic, you create confusion. Deep, destabilizing confusion in the people who try to manipulate you. They can't figure out if they're getting to you, and that uncertainty kills them. This isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about controlling the battlefield. Your life is the war, every conversation is a negotiation, every reaction is a weapon or a weakness. Consistency is your armor. It's what separates the strategic from the submissive. Because the man who can remain calm under pressure, the man who doesn't adjust his values to win favor, the man who acts the same whether he's praised or hated, that man becomes dangerous, and that man cannot be played. Niccolò Machiavelli would tell you, it is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. What that means is this: your name, your value, your presence, they only carry weight if you give them consistency. You must behave like a man who respects himself at all times, not just when eyes are on you, not just when people agree with you, but always. Quiet, controlled, predictable in principle, unpredictable in execution. The manipulator wants drama. They want confusion. They want to pull you out of character. That's how they create leverage, by making you lose yourself. But when you are the same man every day, disciplined, focused, difficult to offend, they don't know how to approach you. And that confusion becomes your power. Let's make something clear. Consistency doesn't mean being soft. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means setting standards and enforcing them without emotion. You don't need to yell, you don't need to prove. You simply need to act in alignment with your strategy every time. If someone disrespects you, distance. If someone drains you, silence. No explanation, no drama, no performance. Expected PR, appear, or silence activity, sometimes guards before just consequence. Predictable, cold, silent. This is how you confuse the weak and disarm the manipulative. You give them nothing to work with, no highs, no lows, just structure. And over time, your presence becomes intimidating. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're unreadable. And unreadable men control every room they enter. So the next time someone tries to test you, don't flinch. Don't argue, don't react. Stay calm. Stay consistent. Let your patterns speak louder than their noise. Let your silence kill their chaos. Let your boundaries teach them that your peace is not a place they get to visit for free. People think power comes from being loud, from dominating every conversation, from having the last word. But real power comes from emotional clarity, from showing up the same every day, regardless of who's watching. Because the man who's mastered himself doesn't chase control, he becomes it. Comment below. Consistency is my power. Say it with conviction. Make it your identity. Because when you become consistent, you become untouchable. And when you become untouchable, the manipulators vanish. Rule number 6, disengage first, always. Never let them be the one who walks away first. Never let them be the one who pulls back, who stops texting, who grows distant, who ends the conversation. Because the moment they do, they gain power. Control lies in the exit. Whoever leaves first owns the frame. And manipulators know this. That's why they always keep you guessing. They disappear just long enough to make you panic, to make you chase, to make you explain something you didn't do wrong. But when you disengage first, silently, strategically, without apology, you destroy their playbook. See, weak men wait. They wait for the energy to shift. They wait for someone to pull back first. They wait for permission to protect their own peace. That's why they're always reacting, always behind, always trying to regain ground they should have never given up. But a man of strategy doesn't wait. He studies. He feels the tension shift. And then he exits before it becomes a trap. Not to prove anything, not to teach a lesson, but to reclaim dominance. You have to understand something brutal. Power does not exist in being liked, understood, or agreed with. Power exists in control of attention. And when you disengage first, you force them to wonder. You become the one who's missing, the one who's quiet, the one who pulled away without a scene. And that silence burns louder than words ever could. Because silence makes the manipulator question everything: their script, their control, their effect on you. You turn their tactics inward, you make them question themselves. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this to the core. He didn't believe in equal footing, he believed in leverage. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. To be untouchable, you must secure yourself first, and that starts by mastering the exit. When you remove your presence, your energy, your words, you make yourself scarce, and scarcity breeds value. Scarcity breeds obsession. Scarcity turns you from a servant of emotion into a master of momentum. Let them feel your absence. Let them sit in the silence you created. Let them think about the last words they said, the last thing they did, because while they're stuck in reflection, you've already moved on, cold, clean, and 10 steps ahead. That's how control works, not by force, but by indifference, by deciding who gets access to you and when. You don't owe anyone an explanation for walking away. You don't need a reason to stop replying. You don't need closure when you already see the game. Disengage. Not in anger, not in drama, but in full power. Because silence doesn't say, "I'm hurt." It says, "I'm done." Comment below, "I leave before I'm drained." Let that be your new instinct. Not confrontation, not arguing, just distance. Sharp, silent, and final. Rule number 7. Never show them it hurts. The moment you show them pain, you lose. Not because pain makes you weak, but because revealing it makes you vulnerable. And manipulators don't feel sympathy for vulnerability. They see it as opportunity. They watch your facial expressions, your tone, your pauses. They listen, not for connection, but for cracks. If they see it hurt you, they'll keep pressing, keep testing, keep twisting the blade. That's how control begins, through your reaction. You must become unreadable, not emotionally numb, but emotionally armored. The world doesn't need to know how you feel, especially not the wrong people. Every emotion you reveal becomes data, and the wrong ones will collect that data like spies, mapping your triggers, your fears, your insecurities. You think honesty builds trust. In the right hands, maybe, but in the wrong hands, it becomes ammunition. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this truth. He didn't write about feelings. He wrote about appearances, illusions, control. He said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, because fear creates caution, but love, in the hands of the manipulative, turns into entitlement. And when people feel entitled to your emotions, they will weaponize your openness against you. That's why you protect your internal world. You bleed in silence. You heal in shadows. You never give them the satisfaction of seeing you break." This is not about pretending. It's about training. Emotional control is not repression, it's elevation. You learn to sit with the pain, to observe it, to let it refine you without needing to explain it to anyone. Because once they see it hurts, they'll never unsee it. And if they know where to strike once, they'll try again. Powerful men don't panic. They don't overexpose. They process in silence and respond with upgraded behavior, not emotional outbursts. When you master that, you become something else entirely. Someone they can't understand. Someone they can't control. You become untouchable, not because you don't feel, but because you choose not to leak. Comment below, "Pain is my fuel, not their weapon." Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them feel unsettled by your calm. Because when you feel deeply and reveal nothing, you've already won. Rule number 8. The unbreakable presence. When you become the one they can't control, there comes a moment when you've stopped reacting. You've stopped explaining. You've stopped chasing. You've stopped making yourself available, emotional or predictable. That's when something changes. Not in them, but in you. You become unbreakable. Not because you built walls, but because you stopped needing to be understood. You stopped needing to be liked. You stopped needing their validation to breathe, and now they can't control you. Because there's nothing left for them to grip, nothing for them to trigger. You've gone dark. And that presence, that silence, it terrifies people. Control relies on emotional access. If they can read you, they can steer you. If they can get a rise out of you, they can manipulate you. But when you become still, composed, calculated, they lose control. It's like trying to push a wall. You don't move, you don't blink, and their entire psychological strategy falls apart. Because manipulators can't play the game without feedback, and now you give them nothing. That's when the shift happens. You walk into rooms and energy changes, not because you're trying to dominate, but because you don't need to. You don't beg, you don't overshare, you listen more than you speak, you say less, but every word lands like a verdict. You don't rush to fix people, you let them deal with their own chaos. That restraint, that emotional neutrality, that's what makes you terrifying, because in a world addicted to reaction, you are pure control. Niccolò Machiavelli would have called it power through perception. He believed in the control of appearance over substance. The man who appears calm under fire, the man who doesn't flinch when insulted, the man who can walk away from anyone without hesitation, that man owns the frame, even if he says nothing. And when you finally become this man, people start to behave differently. They choose their words more carefully. They approach you with hesitation. They sense that you're not to be trifled with, not because you're aggressive, but because you're untouchable. You don't give access freely. You don't answer every message. You don't give energy where it isn't earned. And because of that, they respect you or they resent you. Either way, you win. Understand this, presence isn't about being loud. Presence is about being still and undeniable. The man with the loudest voice doesn't lead, the man with the deepest control does. And that control begins with silence, discipline, and unshakable self-command. You don't need permission to be respected. You need consistency in your standard and clarity in your direction. You become a presence that commands without effort, because you are no longer the man who bends. Comment below, I am the presence they can't control. Let that be your final evolution. Not louder, not kinder, just colder, just sharper, just unbreakable. Rule number 9, final warning. Play the game or be played forever. If you don't learn to play the game, you will be played. Every time. Life doesn't reward the pure. It rewards the prepared. The emotionally reactive, the over-hearted dreamers, they get used, bent, broken, buried. Power isn't given to the best. It's taken by the sharpest. You either study people or get studied. You either control the frame or get controlled by it. And if you keep living by fantasy, you'll keep bleeding in reality. This isn't a world for the soft. It's a world for the silent strategists, the ones who see the game and move like ghosts through it.